Now, lots of young people don't like the way they look. Many suffer from low self-esteem and often have an external locus of evaluation, where their self-image and determination of value is based on what others think of them. But when such people undergo a change or changes that bring about a marked change in what others think of them, their confidence usually grows, and understandably so. But at some point, some of these people start to believe the hype, and they develop a feeling of being better than, as opposed to the more balanced equal to, and seem to grow a sense of entitlement where maybe rules don't apply to them. It's one of the people that seem to conform to this personality type that we're going to be looking at today. Melissa Turner was overweight when she was younger and suffered a complete lack of confidence. But when she lost a significant amount of weight and started gaining a reputation for cosplay, she started to thrive on being looked at and gained a significant fan base of people who enjoyed looking at her. If dealt with well, and with common sense and healthy cynicism, this can be a hugely positive life experience. But Melissa seemed to lack this way of seeing how her life was going. So when a row with her boyfriend turned ugly, she thought she could do what she wanted. This is Murder of Crows. Melissa Rose Turner used to be overweight and hated the way that she looked. But by 2019, her life had changed markedly. Having lost a significant amount of weight, over 100 pounds in fact, she found that her attempts at cosplay were getting more and more attention, with comments suggesting that her weight was no longer the first people considered when they saw her. From taking off in cosplay using a derivative of her middle name, thus using the professional name of Two-Thorned Rose, and gaining a huge number of followers in the process. And she wondered how else she could make the most of men seemingly lusting after her. So she moved into more adult content, as you do. She met Matthew Trussler on Tinder in 2017. Quite why she was on Tinder when she could have had her pick of any number of online simps and sycophants, only she will know. But the two quickly became a couple. Outside of her professional endeavours, they seemed like a perfectly normal couple. Personally, I don't know how Trussler put up with his significant other displaying her wares to all and sundry. I don't know. Certainly some men don't have an issue with it, and indeed some seem to thrive on it. But to my mind, it may be at least partly responsible for the struggles he developed with alcohol during their relationship. On October the 18th, 2019, Turner made a 911 call.
911, what is your emergency?
911. I woke up on my boyfriend here. He was outside this morning. He's cold. He was just drinking. He's cold.
Hello?
I need paramedics.
Her partner was found in a pool of blood, and unfortunately, when paramedics arrived, it was already too late. Matthew Trussler was dead. As you could hear in the call, she states that she found him and did not know what happened. But the subsequent police investigation would show that this most certainly wasn't the case. Now, the police moved quickly on this, and even at her first police interview, they already knew things that Turner didn't. Melissa says she and Trussler had been drinking, and she eventually fell asleep. She says she woke up and found Matthew dead. What she didn't know was that investigators had already been tipped off about a surveillance camera that captured more than she had so far revealed. While Turner was at the sheriff's office, Detective Ryan Lagasse canvassed the neighbourhood for clues. He says he noticed a neighbour's surveillance camera that was pointing directly at the couple's home, and obviously decided to see if it had critical information.
I heard "so," and then there was an explicit "die."
You heard "so" die?
And then I heard, it sounded like a female voice was crying, saying, what did I do?
He heard sounds of yelling from two voices. One of the voices, which sounded female, said, "So fucking die." Detective Lagasse immediately shared this with the other investigators, and the camera was critical to the ongoing investigation, but not because of what it showed. Rather, it was the audio that was captured from the property that it was pointing towards that would play a major role going forward. When Matthew Trussler's body was examined, the medical examiner said he had a defensive wound on his right forearm, a large laceration to his chest, a small cut to the right shoulder, and a large wound on his back that is consistent with a stab wound. The medical examiner noted the cause of death as incised wound to arm with perforation of cephalic vein. Turner, for her part, had a cut on her hand. Toxicology on Trussler did find that he was 5 times over the drink-drive limit, so he was absolutely, definitely sozzled, or intoxicated, to put it in proper parlance. Back at the sheriff's office, investigators asked Turner about the sounds of an argument from her house. At first she said, "I have no memory of any argument." Well, how terribly convenient. However, a few hours into the investigation, Turner's story, surprise, surprise, changed completely. What a bloody surprise.
You notebook there, right? He's drinking alcohol. He says bad things, but those bad things still come out of his mouth, and they still make you mad.
Yeah.
Right? You also said a couple of other things like, "Stay down, so fucking die." What are you talking about?
That was me being pissed off at him that he fell over.
He fell over.
When he got drunk and fell over.
How? Where did he fall over at?
The first time was in the kitchen.
Okay.
Like near the pantry.
Mm-hmm. Did he get hurt?
I don't know, as hurt as you get from falling from over onto a tile floor. Not particularly.
Well, sometimes when you're drunk,
exactly.
you lose your
I mean,
equilibrium and you could fall and hit your head or anything like that. What about the second time when he fell over? Because you said the first time, so I'm assuming there was a second time. Where did he fall over?
not more than I don't believe it was more than a few feet away. I mean, he tried to get back up, and then.
Let me ask you something. We've been sitting here talking for a few minutes, probably an hour or two at least. You told us that you guys were there, there's only the two of you were drinking. At first you didn't want to tell us about the argument at 4 o'clock this morning, but you did, so I appreciate that, okay? But my problem is I got back porch with stab wounds.
Stab wounds?
Or wounds from a sharp object, okay? And the only people that were there were you and him. So I'm trying to figure out what happened, because earlier when I asked you if he was right-handed or you were right-handed, you said he had 2 deep cuts, is what you said.
That I saw.
That you
on
saw.
His arm.
Right. So you How did he get those cuts?
That I don't know.
Well, he probably didn't do it to himself. And the only other person that was there was you. So I'm just trying to figure out and give you the opportunity to explain what happened. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I've been doing this a long time, and I've talked to a lot of people. And this situation, though I wasn't there, there's three sides to the story. There's your version,
His version, and the
his
truth.
version, and the truth.
I'm aware.
What I'm trying to give you the opportunity is, I'm trying to give Melissa the opportunity to be this good person over here that may have got upset and reacted out of anger and not her normal character, or this person over here that just is mean, manipulative, raging, angry, killer.
Premeditated.
Okay?
That's,
Was it an accident? Because you were upset he woke you up?
I would
Or was
never
it something that
stab
would-
him.
Okay. Well, what happened? Help me, okay?
That I don't know.
Help me help you.
I don't know that part.
He's got wounds. The only people that think of it from let's imagine
I can understand,
you're
but
sitting right here, okay?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's just imagine for a second that you're sitting here in my seat and I'm sitting in yours, and I'm telling you the same story you're telling me. It doesn't even something happened. I need to know, was it an accident or just you reacting because you were upset and then you realized, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this? Or was this something that was planned that you were going to be doing this?
Absolutely not plan it.
I don't know.
Help us understand is what he's saying.
I love that man with all my heart. I never had those thoughts in my mind. My thoughts were, what am I going to buy him for Christmas? I don't know what happened. If it was an accident, then I call in someone, something. I wouldn't have let him just die had I known.
You said something else. It doesn't look very good for yourself in regards to this incident. I want you to think back about that argument that you had and everything that you were saying, or that you could have said. You made a statement. I'm not going to tell you what it was. But what I will ask, what did you do? Which one? This one? Or this one?
That one is not me.
Tell me about this one. I know that you wouldn't intentionally do it, but I know that an argument happened, and the only two that were there were you and him. He's dead, you're not. You got a slice on your hand. A slice. That's what that is. It's a slice. How did that happen? It's not from glass. I can tell you that. I've been doing this.
I mean, I know I picked up, maybe it wasn't from it. I know I picked up the glass this morning. Maybe it wasn't from it.
I've been doing this for a long time. This one?
It is
This
that one.
It's this one. Tell me. Tell me what happened. He pissed you off then. You didn't want to get up.
Okay, so obviously something happened isn't with us. So what we're trying to get is what led to that versus the other side just makes you look like a cold-blooded killer if you sit here and say you don't know.
Listen, I just held my hands out.
Talking about it more now, thinking back on it. This is from me grabbing a knife out of his hand. I don't remember which one it was that he had. But it was from taking the knife out of his hand.
And then what happened? I
don't even know if I got the knife away from him. doing this, but I know he had it. I don't... Do I need a lawyer?
That's a decision you're going to have to make. I can't.
She pondered the new information the police had revealed to her, then considered how to account for it without looking like a fucking psycho. She could now remember what unfolded between them. Turner told investigators that Matthew woke her up and he was still intoxicated. She was angry from being woken up and they began to argue. Melissa says that Matthew was holding a knife and she tried to grab it and things escalated as they do. Within the same day of the frantic 911 call placed by Turner, authorities arrested her for second-degree murder. After piecing together the timeline, it appeared that Turner waited 4 hours before calling 911 and giving her performance. More information on how Turner changed after her weight loss came from Cameron Wallega, who had previously dated Turner. He recalled her interest in fitness since she had lost 100 pounds. He also remembers when she created a second blog with sexually explicit content, as you do. Turner's second blog featured her cosplaying as various characters, such as Daphne from Scooby-Doo and Misty from Pokemon, while engaging in sexual acts, as you do. He says he noticed a change in her personality shortly after starting that blog, saying, "And the more and more success that she found, the more and more unstable she became. Eventually, the couple parted ways." Sidestepped a landmine there, Cameron? On February the 14th, 2022, 2 years after Matthew Trussler's death, Melissa Turner went on trial for murder. Turner's attorney, John Trevina, stressed the belief that this was a case of self-defense, saying she did have a history with abuse and there was abuse in this relationship. She acted in self-defense. However, prosecutors didn't agree, with Assistant District Attorney Fawcett later saying, "I think she was intoxicated, and I do think she went far beyond anything she thought she would do. Maybe she was just so frustrated with his drinking, that she harms him so badly that he ends up dying. Turner chose to testify at the trial, where she described Trussler's issues with alcohol and how he was extremely intoxicated that night, with it being about 5 times the legal limit in Florida. She also described his previous strange behaviour, saying he would stare off at some corner and he would tell me, "There's a demon standing right there." Turner said she could only remember stabbing him once in the back. Where did the others come from then? "I stabbed him once to get him off of me and stop him from strangling me. But there were significant wounds all over his body, including a deep wound in his arm, perhaps a defensive wound, that ultimately became his cause of death from blood loss." On February the 18th, 2022, jurors deliberated for 7 hours before reaching a decision. Melissa Turner was found guilty of murder in the 2nd degree. Donald Goodwin, who was one of the jurors, later said he thought Turner had snapped, with him saying she knew he was gonna die. She knew it, and yet she called nobody. So despite the acting performances and claims of self-defense, Turner was undermined by little things called facts. She waited hours before calling 911 and changed her story numerous times when being interviewed. At trial, she says she only stabbed him once, but evidence shows multiple knife wounds. Sorry, Ms. Turner, the evidence doesn't agree with your storytelling. A month after the verdict, on March the 18th, 2022, Turner returned to court to receive her sentence, with the judge saying, "Based on the jury's verdict, you are adjudicated guilty and sentenced to 20.5 years in the Florida State Prison," Judge Samantha Ward told Melissa in court. Turner also ended up losing her home to foreclosure as a result of her imprisonment. Sometime after the sentencing, Matthew's family commented on the case. Trussler's sister-in-law, Jennifer Giles, believes that justice was served, with her saying, "I will say that is justice to a degree." Sean Trussler says he misses his brother, saying he was a good kid, he was just starting to be a man. So that was the case of Matthew Trussler's murder at the hands of someone who should have cherished him. If there were issues, which there clearly were, they could have gone their separate ways. But instead, Turner felt she had the right to do what she wanted, and then thought that she could write her own narrative. Unfortunately, none of her accounts agreed with the facts, and ultimately she had to pay for killing a man who had his life ahead of him. This video is, of course, dedicated to Matthew Trussler. Yes, he had issues. He may have needed help, support, and understanding that he definitely didn't get. Outside of the toxic relationship, both parties may have grown and indeed thrived. But Matthew Trussler wasn't given that choice, and as a result died far, far too soon. My thoughts go to his friends and family. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. I hope you're having a wonderful festive period. I'm Steve. This here is Samson. And we will see you when we see you.
Say that you're ready.